Hello everyone else, welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to talk about modernity has reduced people to objects. It's a very crucial topic and we need to just delve into this issue. I was just thinking for a while what we can just think about the modernity and the existential crisis, but it is really tough just getting an answer for this topic. Mostly we are just seeing the people and they are selling the ideologies, even the YouTubers, just ideology sellers and the imams like that. I have seen a video from lastly maybe 1 hour ago, an imam in a mosque who are just teaching the Quran lessons to young people, but I have seen that even these young people get beaten by the teachers and their doctriners. So I just thought that it's a very bad idea here. Just if you want to just teach something, if you are just teaching someone else the Quran or Christianity and other sacred books, it is not a very good idea just beating to these young people and trying to understand them and trying to tell them how they can act, how they should do things correctly. If you are going to do that, probably they will be away from religion and they are not going to bring any peace. So mostly if you want to teach something to someone, you need to understand whether they are willing to learn or not. If you cannot understand it, probably it's really hard to find an answer for that. Mostly people want to understand the things which they want to learn first. Firstly, the people around the world just became the objects and became the matters anymore. If just someone you're thinking about the political parties, the ideologies, if you just get into the socialism party, mostly you are just getting dictated by the ideas of the socialism. And if you are just getting in a religious place, for example, if you are living in the or just getting education by the Islamic places or sacred places, mostly you are just getting effect by the Islam and the Islamic people. It can also change your mind and it can also change your ideas and your behaviors. If you are living in more secular places, if you are just going to nightclubs or someone else who are drinking alcohol, you will get affected by them. Mostly people just getting affected by the people what they see. If on the internet, if you are just getting exposed yourself to a lot of just the cures, a lot of the fucking words and a lot of bad words, probably you are getting affected by them and you are getting a lot of exposure. So it is really hard to just surpass this idea. Mostly our ideas aren't belong us. Generally, we are just getting affected by the other people, even the writers, even the authors, even someone else, magazine writers or the edge writers on the newspaper. Mostly we are just getting affected by the television shows and the programs and even the movies. Even just the books can change our minds and can change our the understanding of this modernity, because there's a modernity crisis here. Lastly, I was just in the outside of this, just like my house. I have seen a lot of people who are just working from morning to night and they were just working as a package giver and they were just carrying the items with their motorbike. This job is very hard in the essence. Most of the people are struggling. They need to just bring package to other people's houses and they are getting a lot of effect. The weather was so cold and some people need to work because of their living. I have seen other people who are just suffering and they are living very teeny house, and my house is not also very big, but I need to just understand my style and I'm just creating the videos in English language sometimes because it's not a very benefit just talking about the Turkish. Most of the Turks want to just make you in a subordinate class and they don't want you to make more progress. That's the reason why it's really sad for it is a pleasure. Mostly the Turks are just getting economically underdeveloped and it's getting decreased the situation here. There's an inflation crisis and people are just trying to get away from the situation, but this circumstance isn't so easy peasy just getting just away from it. So mostly when we are just checking the humanity, we are using our mobile phones, all the people around the world using social media. And mostly we are addicted to our social media accounts. And some people I have seen other influencers, they have deleted their channels on the Instagram and they started to do the podcast. So it is also understandable, but the main idea here, if we just get exposed ourselves to social media, if we just get the addiction, if we just earn the addiction of the social media, probably we are just trying to leave the social media anymore, like to think about the Sword Art Online. If you think about Sword Art Online, you can easily analyze and be awakened for it. Most people don't live in the real world. They are just living in the isekai, which is a very different entity. They are getting connection between the game and themselves. So mostly the another word, which is the social media, just can create or different perspectives or real characters what we can do in the real lives. Thinking about the anime, like the movies of the Hayao Miyazaki and the Kekkon Dekinai Otoko, there are a bunch of movies, and in these movies, even if we are just giving an example as a Japanese society, most of the Japanese societies are just trying to reflect their ideas on the movies, what they cannot do in the real life. In the modern Japanese society, there are a bunch of pressure and they cannot express their feelings very clearly and they are hiding their own opinions. Why? Mostly there is this religion pressure and the societal pressure and maybe the job pressure. Mostly they are addicted to their jobs and it's really hard for them to just stop their jobs, and they cannot just go to another company. Why? Because in the modernity, they think like if they just go to the another company, mostly they are getting in a blacklist and they cannot find easy job for themselves. Mostly the companies who are the owners of the companies just can create a blacklist, and in this blacklist, most people can suffer and they cannot do the whatever they want. And even you are just getting hiring someone, if they are just speaking on the social media, on the YouTube, mostly the just company, just the bosses don't accept this kind of people to their own companies. It is also understandable, but the main idea is here what you can do and what you can achieve. Everybody is trying to create their own social media accounts, and we are reflecting our ideas on the social media. And some people trying to be talking about psychology, and some people trying to talk about the philosophy. But even the situation, everybody is different. Everybody has different kind of perspective. Everybody has different kind of admirance, excitements, and different kind of pleasure here. Mostly, lastly, I'm going to admit that I have just followed a lot of the Vijay idols like the Kanamamonogi and the Kana Uehara, just Ai Uehara and Hatano Yui. If you're asking my opinion, Hatano Yui is still hot and she can do whatever she wants. Lastly, I have seen that she was just looking for a husband, but maybe she can find or she cannot find. I'm not sure. I have been struggling for a while and trying to understand what I want. And after just the modern test, start a crisis. Men are dying, just middle class are dying. Girls are starting OnlyFans in their own sex, just getting more money easily. But men should be just working, and the girls can just turn back their ass and they can get the money. So where is the equal distribution here? There is no equal distribution in the end. Mostly we are thinking about the religion. Mostly the religion, the problems, and just lastly the religion talkers are trying to affect the people. They want to do the brainwash and they want to control the people. It's understandable. Mostly it is the easy business. If you are just working in a religion, your business is really easy. You need to affect the people and you need to give the people what they need rather than just what you want to give. So mostly we are just getting manipulated by the social media and the influencers and the something like a game changers. Most of you are think that maybe someone else can see themselves as a game changer, but it's not. Everybody's doing the same position, even me, just trying to talk about if I want to criticize something, and I will just put my seat to better size rather than just if I'm criticizing something, I will just sit their places in the end. So it is understandable, but I'm not doing that. I'm not giving the names. I'm just saying the things. You can watch another videos as well. For example, you are watching me till now, right? You have other options, and you can just watch someone else either. We are not forcing you. I'm not giving an advertisement. I'm just recording videos. If someone else can watch, can watch. Otherwise, they cannot watch. So what is the main idea here if you want just watching my videos? Mostly the idea is I'm just getting more views. If I get the more views, it also means that I have a chance to go to the abroad, going to Kinkakuji, Roppongi, Kabukicho, Shinjuku, Shibuya, Yoyogi, and other cities as well. So mostly, I'm just recording videos for my own sake. Not own sake, not own sake. That's for own sake. After that, if I just, or maybe just not till that, maybe after 3 years or 4 years later, I have a chance to go to the abroad, be a travel influencer. But if I cannot record the videos, it's gonna be tough. Just recording some videos and trying to speak with the people. If you're asking my opinion, I'm not sure. Just talking about the new people and meeting new friends. It is easy to stay at my house and trying to be different from other people. I don't need them and I don't need their ideas as well. If you want to just create something, you need to understand yourself first. After you understand yourself, you can create your own ideas, and you cannot be get affected by the other people's as well. Mostly we are living in this world which is very crucial and which is very just like brutal worlds, and we need to understand the brutal inside is very brutal. The units labor, units of productivity, units of consumption, it asks what you can do, what skills do you offer, what value do you produce, how fast you can adapt. Mostly in this modern world, the meaning of life has been just destroyed already. The meaning of life is just being performative, and we are living a performative life. And how much the things you can just create, how much you can give, and you can get a lot of output. And mostly we are trying to do the things without any notice. For example, we are working in a fabric, and we are just working a package giver, but we don't have interest about what is the inside of the package. Mostly we are just doing our jobs and just getting out. Mostly the modern society doesn't know anything about their lives. Mostly they are doing their jobs, even they don't know how they just get into that job. If you're just doing your job approximately at least 1 year, you will understand that it is really hard to just change your job to another company or to another job environment, because you are just getting addicted to it, and you are just getting more use it, and you are getting used to the situation. So mostly it is really hard to break our habits. If you want to just break your habits, it's going to be tough. Mostly you are just going your job not because only the money, but because of your habitation. If you just get a habitation from something, for example, you are just brushing your teeth. If you just can brush your teeth, mostly you are doing the things as a habitation, not a fucking useful thing. You will understand maybe it's useful, but you won't just focus on the useful side. Mostly you will use the habitation side. If you don't do that, probably you will feel yourself a bit of in a bad mode. So if you don't want to get into the bad mode, it is better to just analyze and just brush your teeth. So the second part is from human being to human resource. Mostly we are living in this world. Maybe you have watched out of the Capital, just short movies. Maybe they are representing the, how can I say, the rat race. The rat race, yeah, exactly. I have seen out of the videos about the rat race, and mostly there are a bunch of mouses and trying to live on the train, and getting on a train, and they are trying to escape their 9-5 job, and they are working in an office job. Mostly they are just a white collar job. So it's really hard. Some people are living in a blue color, and some people in a white color. In white color jobs, maybe it can be seen that it's very easy rather than comparing to blue color jobs. It's okay, it's true, because in the end, blue color workers need to use their physical hands and the physical, just like the arms and the physical bodies. But mostly if you are living in a white collar job, it is easy to just use your brain rather than just using your physical vehicles, like your arms, your foods. So in the end, the situation is also different. Some people are going to just talk about it if you are just working as a white collar job, in a white collar job. In the other hand, you are just suffering mentally. For example, let's think about you are working in a bank. If you do any mistake in a bank, as an economically, it can be concluded as a bad conclusion. Even if you work in a bank, maybe you can think like it's an easy job. You are just thinking and just you are doing the conclusion and some math, math process. But in the end, the situation is really different. You are not doing the math process. Mostly, you are just checking the numbers. If you are not good with the numbers, even if one mistake can just a conclusion can be a conclusion as just losing your job. So is there any symmetric energy here? Not, but we are living in the rat race society. Mostly people trying to do what they can do their best in order to just continue to live. For example, let's think about the metropolitan cities. If you are living in the metropolitan cities, even you can just sell yourself for a rent. Why? Mostly they want to leave, and there is no another option here. So if you're asking my friend, is it logical? Mostly it is changeable to situation. If you are not very handsome enough or beautiful enough, most of the people are just trying to do the prostitution. Even if you go to the big cities such as the Tokyo and Osaka, if you are living in the cities, it is normal to sell your bodies. Is it logical? No, because you can get out of pressure, you can get out of blood, but some people need to do that. Why? Because they can get the easy money and they can continue to live. But here the issue is, if you just get into this business, you can just get harassed, and your body can be harassed as well. So it is not very logical in the end, just forcing this kind of businesses at all. But some people are just going to do that, their mistakes, or just like their choose, and some people just getting forced to it. So the situation is a little different in the end. Some people are just choosing, some people are getting chosen. So human resources seems technical and harmless, but it carries a deep philosophical shift. A resource is something extract, manage, optimize, and consumed. It takes to serve larger than itself. Maybe you have read the book of Anti-Oedipus complex, like from Felix Guattari and Deleuze. Mostly we are just creating out of desires in this world. This machine is creating a lot of desire and we are just getting addicted to it, and mostly we are trying to resemble and we are trying to embrace these desires. Mostly the human beings became not important anymore. Why? Because we are delving into something like parts of a system. For example, if you are good at the math, you can be just a good banker or the good calculator in a system. So most of the system can teach you and can lead you what you can do. If you cannot do something, probably you can get any bread. And some people even need to just be content with their bread and cheese. And is it very logical? Not. It's not very logical. Not everybody want to live and want to work from morning to night and getting the less amount of the money. So if you want to get the good amount of money, mostly your job can exist as a doctor, as a pilot, or something as a very upper class jobs. But if you want to do the upper class jobs, your IQ level and your position keeping level should be better than others. For example, everybody can be a great leader, but if you cannot keep this position, someone else will going to come up to you and just shake your position as well. Mostly we are just trying to compete with each other for that position, but nobody is talking about how you can just keep this position alive rather than just competing for that position. Even in this modern life, mostly people are just competing for the positions which they want to achieve and which they want to take. But after they have taken this position, mostly they just give up. Why? Mostly the situation is not just continuing what they wishes. So maybe they cannot be very talented for just being a leader, or maybe they aren't very talented for that position. If you are just working as a nurse, you cannot be a doctor. If you are just working as a computer programmer, you cannot be a computer engineer. If you are just working the front end of the computer, you cannot work in the back end. Maybe you can just work in the back end as well, but your main idea and your main struggle is different from the back end, and you need to focus on what you can bring the value to the table. So let's continue to just understand the other things as well. In this logic, work no longer an activity, it becomes identity. People do not say I work as, they say I am an occupation replaced existence. Yeah, in the old times, people was just giving their names, but nowadays the names aren't important anymore. Mostly people trying to give their identification with their jobs. For example, if you are just working as a cashier, and can you just write your occupation to your Instagram bio? No, you wouldn't do that. If you are just working as a nurse or if you are working as a doctor, would you just write your occupation to your Instagram bio? Exactly, you would write your just an occupation to your biography. So it is understandable, and it's a very normal topic here. Nothing is changeable and nothing is very extraordinary, and I got used to this situation. Most of the occupations are replacing ourselves, and they are just creating and reshaping our identification. That's the reason why most of the people just experiencing the same existential crisis as well, like the Sartre and the Camus mentioned that before. Like, think about the modern society as a Sisyphus. The Sisyphus is what's happening in the Sisyphus. Sisyphus is just carrying a rock to the summit of the mountain, and then the rock is fall into the field, and then after that, when the rock fall into the ground, the Sisyphus trying to do the same action again and again and again. Even think about the Prometheus. What's happening to Prometheus? Prometheus is trying to be chained by the gods to the mountain, and even a fucking bird, maybe the crow is, or another bird, I'm not sure, maybe there's something like different big bird is coming, and the bird eating his love here, and then his love is coming up again, like the Prometheus. So the station is repeating itself, even the Camus, even the Prometheus, and the things as well. So what is the meaning of a life then? If you are working a 9-5 job, like think about something like the Franz Kafka in something Sue. Even his book, that's like the maybe metamorphosis. So the characters, the Gregor Samsa is changing themselves and changing himself for the family. For example, I'm working here as an officer and just going to job, committing to job. Mostly I feel myself like a Gregor Samsa, just coming and coming, going, coming, going, coming. So I'm in the endless circle, and it is really hard to just delve into this circle and just getting another position. So mostly my position is really hard, and even I'm complaining the situation is not going to change. Everybody is experiencing the same thing. If you are a student, I'm also a master's degree student in sociology, we are just experiencing the same stuffs from morning to night. And when we are complaining about the situation, it's not going to be solution giver. So mostly it is better to talk about the questions and talk about the problem rather than just solving the problem. In the modern society, nobody's trying to solve the problems. Everybody's talking about the problems, so it is better to just be in an endless circle because of they are the talkers. Maybe some people, there are the three kind of people in the universe. The first one is talkers, and the second one thinkers, and the third one doers. So if you want to have a fucking talker, it's okay, you can continue to do that. But mostly I'm just being in a thinker and doer side rather than being at just only talker side. What the fuck I'm doing? Just talking other side as well. I'm just going out, trying to create my own businesses and trying to talk with the people. But in that, it's very meaningfulness. Why? Mostly they need to create their own brand, and what the people are doing nowadays, because nowadays the people has replaced themselves to the firms, to the brands, and there are no brands anymore. Just keeping in the some like a matters. Most of the brands are just giving advertisements to the people who can just carry their just like the motifs, and they are carrying their icons. So icons became more important than ever. People trying to sell themselves as a very, very motivation speaker, and they think like they can do everything else, and they need to make other people believe on it. So mostly if you want to be rich in this world, you need to make other people to believe you. You need 200 proofs in order to be a rich. If you just find the 200 proofs for being a rich, it's okay. You can understand the situation and you can be out of the system. Most of the systems trying to reshape ourselves, trying to limit ourselves. And some people just complain about the situation, whether some of them just accepting the situation. So modernity has reshaped the meaning of the life, and the meaning has itself lost anymore. So we are trying to create a re-meaning, but we are just getting fucked up because of it. And when we have lost the meaning of a life, then we are trying to understand and trying to recreate the not a very like something like a artificial reality. So the reality has been shaped already, and we have lost the reality, and nowadays we are trying to create a fake reality, and we are trying it's a reality. No, the realities are changed already. Mostly on the social media, what you are seeing, what you are thinking have been just calculated already. Nothing is randomly happening on the internet. Nothing is happening casually on the internet. Everything has something like a idea. Everything has been taught already. Mostly you think that everything is something like very casual and nothing is very declared, and you think like everything is some like undetermined things. But mostly everything on social media, I think the determinism is here a very important factor. Maybe the governments are also controlling or managing the social media in a backend, but you cannot understand it. Mostly people here just trying to question about themselves. What is the popular, what is the viral topic here, what is the trend topic here? Maybe you can also just have a chance to follow the trend topics and you can create your own way, but it is not very agreeable and it's not very profitable in the end. So what is the question strangers to ask each other is about the character or life. It's about the profession. What do you do? The question decides your social weight, respect, and visibility. So it is very important in the end. If you just want to get the visibility in the society, your occupation should be more attractive than others. For example, if you are working as a bus driver, I have been just going my job just using this bus. Whenever I'm seeing the bus driver, he's not very angry and he's not very content with his job, but he's doing his job in the end. For example, let's think about myself. Am I very content with my job? Not. Am I content with creating a content? Not. But it is the reason here why we are doing our jobs, why we are creating content, because it is my only chance to being famous. I cannot do anything else, just sitting in my room and trying to affect the people to my side and just getting more attention. So if you want to get more attention, people, you need to do something different from each other. Maybe it didn't right, it didn't happen before, it didn't have done before. But when you find something didn't done before, you need to struggle in, and the struggles can make you maybe tougher, maybe stronger. What doesn't kill you make you stronger, like the skill I mentioned that before. So maybe you can also just like to try to record videos, evergreen videos. It's about you, brother. I have lastly seen someone else trying to understand and trying to criticize the modern society. Mostly people in the modern society giving advertisement about, or giving advice, you need to do the blue collar jobs. Maybe you can work in a something like a underground jobs, such as I'm just not sure, maybe being a carpenter, maybe being some like a toilet conditioner, or like some like a maybe just give me a second, like I'm going to understand the situation. Like the blue collar jobs, like plumber, yeah, you need to be a plumber, you need to be a carpenter. Like there are a bunch of the other blue collar jobs out there, and people just recommending you need to do this kind of jobs, but mostly nobody's talking about how much it is hard. I have been working as a like a servicer in a restaurant. I was just trying to give service to people and working as a Steve and trying to understand the people and trying to bring their wishes. But then I understood that I'm just more intelligent than them. So what the fuck, I'm just going to serve them. They need to serve me either, because I'm smarter than. I'm also smarter. I'm also intelligent from them. So what the fuck is going on happen? Why I'm just going to obey this kind of people? Because I'm more developed intelligently than others. So it is better to control the people if you are just more intelligence, if you are just understanding style of the knowledge or the information have better than others. You need to control the other people rather than just they control you. If you just let the other people control you, you are going to fuck up, because mostly it is better and easy to control other people rather than they control you. So when you are thinking about the childhood and other games as well, if you have been a leader, even you're from a childhood, for example, it's not about being a leader or something like a dictatorship, it's something like a party leader. Even in the games, for example, let's think about the football. Even when you were a child, let's remember your days. What was your position when you were playing a football? When you were playing a football, maybe you were working on the right side or the left side or the left corner and the right corner. But there was a team leader, right? Even in a football game. So what was the team leader was talking about was being a truth and was being a correct, and everybody was listening to him rather than just listening to others. So here the situation is really awkward, and some people going to suicide is not very logical, but they are doing it. So the other thing, and there was a team leader, right? Even in that position, if you are a team leader, probably even in your childhood you get affected. It doesn't mean that even you are just playing the game in the right side or left side. You are just playing the game as a leader. That's the reason why when you just get older, probably you have a potential to be a leader, because leader positions cannot be decidable and cannot be understandable from just when you were at the 30s or the 40s. The leader position can be understandable when you were young. So most the people on the internet or on social media just have a tendency to follow people who have more leadership positions and the charismatic leaders. But in the Turkish society, it can be understandable, it's very necessary. But if you are thinking about the other sides of the society, like for example the individual cultures, most of these kind of cultures like Norway, Finland, and Denmark, mostly people here just have tendency to listen to people who have more knowledge rather than who have a great leadership, because leadership positions have very important in the Middle Eastern societies. Mostly people just obeying someone who have a leadership and who can just control the other people. But if you are thinking about the size of the Japan or China or some like a different country, like the individual cultures like America, mostly in America people have obeying the people who have more knowledge, because the policies, the IC police have been just killed someone else. Lastly, I'm really sad for that situation, but they have did that before. So the mostly in the American and the individual cultures, people are trying to have tendency to just obey the people who have more knowledge than the others, rather than just getting the protection by the government, and they are getting protection by the policies. But in the Middle Eastern countries, policies are not doing a lot of very effort, and they are not very just active here. Mostly that's the reason why most of the people are just trying to obey the people, and there's a beat culture here. Maybe they'll also show off culture, and they have just riding on a very luxury cars here, and they are showing off their own race people, which are the Turkish. So it's not very logical here, but they are doing it because of their own sex, and they are getting more popularity. Even the girls just getting found to the people who have a very high level of the cars. So it's not very logical. I'm just going to criticize the situation, but I get used to the situation. That's the reason why I'm just trying to just come up here and just trying to record YouTube videos. So nobody's going to judge me, right? Right, exactly. I have just seen a lot of videos on the internet just trying to be famous, who are just trying to record the videos when they are from Japan. I was also just thinking that maybe I can go to Japan, but fucking Japan is not very easy for myself, because I'm learning the Japanese language. I'm also just learning the Chinese language, but also Chinese language is not very easy piece to when we're comparing the Japanese language. Also just comparing the Japanese language to the English language, also I have seen a lot of the similarity and harmony here. In the Japanese language, there are a bunch of differences from the English language. I also try to learn a Chinese language, but this is very easy for me to learn a Chinese language after the Japanese language. So, but it's not very easy to learn the English grammar and the other English-based necessities when we are talking about, even we are just getting similar to master of hierarchy pyramid. In this pyramid, the English language is very hard and going to easy. This is something like a different. In the main essence, English language is being start easy and just being classed with the hard. That's the reason why there are a bunch of rules. Not only the rules, but also the correct grammar structures here. I'm not going to take apart this kind of different kind of structure, so it is better to delve into this idea and delve into this, not explain the situation. It's not it's in English is not my mother tongue. That's the reason why I need to understand my level, and I don't have to just do the correct English language. I can do the mistakes, I can understand my mistakes, I can just develop myself, I can correct my mistakes, but it is in the end the situation is not going to change, because whatever language I'm going to speak, I'm going to speak the language which I have the same accent, same opinion, the same thoughtful. So even learning a language or something like a pick up a language, mostly you need to understand your ideas and trying to delve into this area. Mostly we are just going to repeating and the same actions and same structures here, and we are going to talk about the from morning to night and talking about the something like ideology, perspective, sociology, communism, Shintoism, believism, and the psychology and the philosophical stuff. Mostly we are going to repeating the same ideas, and we are just getting the repetition by the other people and trying to record the videos, and it can be very logical for it, but mostly in the end they are not giving anything else. Mostly the reason why, because we are just trying to be unique on the perspective on the social media. Even the modernity has just given us some crisis here, and we are just going to talk about the crisis and immediately going to something like a different kind of point of views, and on the spot we are just going to calculate other things, and we are giving the reflection to crisis, danger, warnings on the social media. Even the thumbnails, you can check about the YouTube thumbnails here, you can see this kind of words, crisis and the danger and just warning. This kind of very dangerous words are getting used to on the thumbnails for the modernity crisis, and every time whenever I'm seeing something like a modernity and something like a news in the the very logical and lastly recently global societies, people have the tendency to create the more curious topics and the more dangerous topics. The mostly we are just seeking for and we are just really longing for the danger. People long for the danger, and they are more look forward the more dangerous topics ideas here. So it's not very complicated, but it's not very elaborate in the end. Most of the situation is very different from each other. Most of the people think themselves very sophisticated when they are trying to record YouTube videos, when they are trying to speak on television shows, when maybe they are writing something like a article on the newspaper, and they are just writing as a even they are writing an essence as an article maybe in academia. Even the academia from being a different each other anymore. Most people just getting hired, the people who are just living and who are just burning and who are just get to know each other before. That's the reason why we are going to talk about and delve into this area in a different way of the people and the thinking style of this real religion and the real perspective ways. So the perspective can be different, and we need to pick up a perspective, and after I pick up a perspective we can understand what is going on here, and that's the reason why the conclusion cannot be end. We are just getting into the endless circle. The circle can be beatable, and circle can be changeable, and circle can be getting new perspectives here, and the frameworks can be not have been already just passing through it and not already having worked. Sometimes the perspective cannot be worked and doesn't work here. So it's getting into the cosmos, and energy can be a beautiful mind of perspective here, and the frames can be changeable here. The frame can be open and can be closed. Okay. Mostly it's better to close it, but I cannot close. Why? Because I like to speak in a very, very fast way. So it is where the scores rating statistics and the performance and indicators. A person is no longer known by the they are, but they know their rank. Grades define intelligence, salaries define worth, followers define influence, productivity defines virtue. Exactly. Whenever I'm thinking about the people where they were spoken about their jobs, mostly they are talking about salary rather than their own businesses. For example, if you're just talking about being the worker, probably if you're just working as a blue collar jobs, most people are not going to talk about your own companies. Most people are going to wonder about your salary. If you are working as a doctor, most people not going to wonder about your salary. That's a very understandable and different topic here. So I really get worried the situation. I'm not going to judge the other people as well, but I'm not going to oppose the situation as well too. So just talking about the situation and trying to understand the topic is not very easy peasy in the end, but we are going to continue to delve into this issue. And sometimes there are different kind of affairs here, and it's not easy peasy to solve all the affairs in the end. Maybe we can create a list and we can start from the scratch and we can just delve into these areas. After this, we delve into these areas, maybe we can find a solution, but the solutions cannot be available, cannot be very adorable here. That's the reason why we are not to do the things alone. Maybe we can do the things on my own. So everyone constantly being evaluated at work, online, in education, even in relationships. Social media influences this logic. Human persons becomes content, emotion becomes identity, it becomes organized. People bring the streets dashboards. We just click research. Okay, most of the people on social media, when they are recording a post and when they are sharing a post, when they are writing something on as an article, most of the happening is just getting more the clicks, likes, views, and research. So mostly people just want to get attention by the others. If you cannot get the attention what you want to get, it is really hard for you just being as famous on the internet and just getting more resources in the end. Think about Japan. Mostly Japanese society has not very vulnerable resources in the end, in their backends. They are not had very core stones like the obsidian, like the uranium, and some like a different kind of obstacles here, and some like a different rocks here. So it's very changeable. They are selling the culture, their own cultures. They think like it's very unique, it's very array, it's very something like a perspective and special. But in the end, it's not situation is very correct. Most of the people in most of the Japanese society need to sell their culture as a unique perspective because they cannot do anything else. Even they are just changing the original books for their own sake, for their own sake, and they also just create the Shintoism for their own sake as well. So the situation is really different from when we are just talking about the situation from this side, and then we are going to come to this other side as well. So the other things I want to mention, the fucking performance, invisible equations, relation becomes external, self-worth becomes unstable, numbers simplify reality, the bottom ones are not simple, they are contradictory, inconsistency, contextuality, and the metrics is this complexity, this further in life into the charts, and even just suffering becomes a statistics, loneliness become a trend. So sometimes the perfect numbers, because numbers do not complain, they don't resist, they don't want to demand dignity. When a person is resisted, their person becomes manageable, their advances becomes appreciable, their purpose becomes easy. So it is something else like a bear people, but loneliness becomes a trend. So if the loneliness becomes a trend, most people are going to think about it twice. When the loneliness became a trend, most people are going to complain about the situation. So if you are not alone, you're probably going to act like a lonely rather than just being not lonely. If you're just being lonely became a fame, probably everybody will going to replace the situation to themselves. Even you have a relationship, because you are going to say the people, I don't have a relationship, being lonely so hard, even you are not lonely. The basic situation is what we are just fame, what we are trend, what we are just trying to follow the trend rather than just our own path. So maybe we need to stop, brother. I'm just talking so fast, so it is better not to speak faster. But there's nothing to do because mostly I just get used to the situation, so I'm just trying to speak faster. So what we can do? Go fast. So we need to slow down. I need to extinguish my temper here, but it's really not easy peasy because I'm speaking very fast. I'm so sorry, guys. I cannot do anything for it. Efficiency requires simplification requires abstraction removes the human face. So life becomes constantly audit. There's no rest from evolution. Even leisure must be optimized. In such word, failure is personal, but it's structural. So the other things I want to mention that which is very hard and which is very complicatable and which is very important for the other people, that is like the things I'm going to talk in, like maybe I get about for the person, like most of the vulnerable, the energy is being replicated and reputation and replaced already. So the machines, the feel broken, the failure person, the optimize. The leisure time, for example, you have a leisure time and you are trying to be maybe drinking coffee, watching porn and playing the video games. And maybe you can just say yourself you have a leisure time. But mostly in our leisure times, just delve into the different kind of perspective and different kind of eras. Mostly we are just creating the times which we are just thinking about the leisure, but it is in the end not a very leisure time. We are just getting managed by the government and the controlled by the society. For example, you are just eating a meal, just coming your job to your house, and mostly you are repeating this action, right? And you think like it is the ideal behavior of the society, right? But in the essence, it's not the ideal behavior of the society. It is what it is should be done by the government. Governments can control you in an easy way. If you don't go to your job, probably in your house, you can create a rebellion. You can create some like a revolution. That's the reason why governments really against with that. So the part 4, and after the part 4, we are going to delve into the part 5. But part 4 is very important here. The self-objectification, when humans turn themselves into things. You ask not what am I, but how I am perceived. How am I perceived? How do I look? How do I sound? How do I perform? Mostly people trying to understand their styles. How are they good at the music? How are they good at the playing a violin or playing a piano or playing a violin? But in the end, they are just getting more attention and they are trying to check themselves by the others. If you are not very enough for just doing something like a event like playing a tennis or just playing a piano or playing a violin, mostly you don't think yourself as a like the very something like a Juban, like enough. You are just trying to just get more views by the others. Your views aren't important for anymore because you are just getting judged by the people. And when you think yourself, the other people's ideas are important, but mostly you are trying to show your articles, show your situation to others, and you are just getting waiting and a response from them. So it is the very tongue twister issue here, and the circle is very endless. So emotion became a weakness to regulate, vulnerability becomes liability. Modern individuals learn to market their lives. They create experiences, they display happiness, they hide confusion, they self-confidence even when they feel empty. So even on the social media and when you're checking the modern books, you will understand that even you feel very ugly, even you feel very despair, even you feel in a very bad mood, you shouldn't say that I am very in a bad mood, I am just getting into depression. Even your situation is not very understandable by their own colleagues. The colleagues not going to hear your voice and they are not going to understand you if you are just say your position. Like if you are just like getting desperate, if you are feel yourself in a very very harmful just situation, if you think yourself depressed, it is better to keep your depression in your side rather than just speak it out. It is better not to open your mouth and just speak up your depression. If you do that, probably people will going to leave you and you will going to be forsaking your destiny. So it is a very understandable topic here, right? Most people trying to hide their real feelings rather than just being a very make fun of topic. Exactly. Yes, I'm going to ask you and just trying to understand your situation, guys. Like, have you ever just tell your personal issues to people who you don't know? Is it logical? Not. If you want to tell the situation to yourself, to others, you need to find the people who can just suffer with you, who can analyze you, and who can just show your respect. If you cannot get the respect by the others, it is really hard to just continue to talk about this issue and complain about it. If you want to complain to your own about the situation, probably it is better not to complain to others. You need to complain to people who you know before. So the situation is very a bit of tongue here and people trying to understand their own wishes. Before you just understand your wishes, you need to give an analyze and you need to think about the situation. Before you think, you need to understand and you need to get knowledge first. If you don't have enough knowledge, your personal view will going to be less attractive and will going to be less firm, and it can be flexible. You shouldn't forget that not everybody is flexible and some people have the firm identification and the firm ideas, and it is really hard to change their ideas, change their concepts, and change their beliefs. So we shouldn't force them to change their beliefs as well, because if we are going to try to do that, probably we will lose in the end. So the modern individuals just learn how to market themselves, as I mentioned before. They are trying to marketing themselves. Even they are lonely, they think like I have a friends. Even they feel themselves empty, they think like I know everything. Even you think about the Instagram societies, what the fuck are they just showing their posts on the internet? What the fuck are they sharing themselves as a rich? Why? Mostly they want to get into the Instagram societies and they don't want to get expelled by their societies. If they cannot show themselves as a rich, probably they have a chance to get judged by the societies and they feel themselves inadequate. If they feel themselves inadequate, it's really hard to change their minds. So that's the reason why they are just trying to be rich looking rather than a good looking. If you are going to be rich, sometimes they think like all the doors going to be open, even on the just the size of the girls. If you just think about yourself as a rich man, you have a chance to open someone else's legs. If you want to open a girl's legs, probably it's better to understand yourself and get shown yourself as a rich. So if you have a photo as a pilot in a French, in a Tokyo Tower, in a French Tower, and maybe in a Berlin, maybe in a New York, probably people think yourself as a rich and you're traveling around the world. If you can travel around the world, people are going to respect you because you are just making their wishes come true. So if you're asking my opinion, I have always wanted to go to the Europe, just getting married somewhere else from there. Maybe just getting married someone else from the Finland and maybe Denmark and maybe Norway. I have also read a book, which is the name is very famous, Norwegian. It is also just can be changeable as a translate Norway no Mori. The Norwegian wood, which is getting right by the Haruki Murakami. There was a song of it inside the Beatles, and what was like the song of the name? The Norwegian wood. It's very famous worldwide, and it's also famous in the Norwich. Maybe they have seen this big book before. If you guys just seen this big book before, I'm really content with that. So if you're just asking my dream once upon a time just working in a bookstore in a Japan or in a Norway and just getting more attention by the girls and just going to nightclubs, maybe Stockholm nightclubs. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't go in a nightclub, so I'm just suffering financially, mentally, physically, and just like the openly. I don't think like my future is going to be very, very Eden. We're going to be like a heaven. So it is really tough as a man. I'm a modern man. I'm just getting analyzed the situation. The modernity has replaced itself and they don't need any man anymore. Mostly the men are suffering here and they cannot just show their real feelings anymore. So situation is really tough for us. And some people can open their ideas openly while some of them cannot. If you are a modern man, your struggle will be going to be bigger and bigger. If you are not rich enough, if you cannot do the things alone, if you're just going to complain a lot about the situation and about your position, most people are going to underestimate you and they're not going to just give any meaning to you. So it's understandable the modernity crisis is just happening anywhere else. Even the wars, starving, just the people are dying, just they are going to jail, they're just getting suffering by the financially. Everybody is same in this world, and mostly we are believing in some religions, for example, Christianity, Islam, and Jewish, and people trying to understand these sacred books and trying to just follow their paths. So just even it's following their own paths, maybe it's kind of logical, but sometimes it's not very logical because we are doing the repetition and repeating the same ideas here. So it's not going to be easier just talking about these issues and repeating their ideas as well. So the other thing I want to mention is, and I mean, I managed to upset the one feels and the one would observe then judges, the rest of them becomes tragic, hobbies became investments, the relationships became networks. So when you're talking about the relationships between the girl and boy, and we can going to talk about this if there sometimes just making the low base relationship and sometimes people just going to money-based relationship. So which path is very logical. If you're asking my opinion, it's changeable station to station. If you are a very poor side, if you are just getting burned in the ghettos places, for example, if you're burned in the Philippines, it is better to just get married by a rich man. I'm not going to judge these kind of people. I'm not going to say that you are doing something like a wrong because you are just going to set up your own life in the end. If you're just getting married with someone who is a very poor class, you are going to suffer. You have suffered till your 20s, maybe till your 30s. It's better to just find someone else who is rich and try to change your life, and you have a chance to get an opportunity and try to make your lives better. When I was in Taiwan, I have seen a lot of the good people there, and there was a lot of green, and people are so beautiful, but there was a issue there. I have been struggling financially and I couldn't find a job there. So my situation was so awkward there, and I also just struggled why I came back to Turkey. If you're asking my opinion, it would be better to stay in Taiwan, not coming back to Turkey, But because of not only just coming back to Turkey, I also analyzed that I haven't got enough money to buy a camera, buy a microphone, and trying to record YouTube videos there. So if you are not financially enough to record the YouTube videos, the situation is really tough for you. You cannot travel around the world and you can just make your wishes come true. So it is easy to understand why I just didn't come back to Taiwan, and I wish I had never been come back to Turkey. It was better for me just living in Taiwan, but I'm going to try my chance in the end. I'm just trying to save up the money. I will go to the Japan. If I have a still chance, probably it's better to just live in Japan and try my luck rather than just living in Turkey. So what the fuck I'm just doing here? I'm just saying the Turkey rather than I'm saying the Turkey because it's maybe like the German accent here. I have always studying the German language as well. Ich kann Sprache Deutsch, aber ich glaube, meine Sprache Deutsch ist nicht schön. Daher ich möchte glücklich zu sein. Ich möchte meine Deutsch zu verbessern hier. Aber ich denke, die Situation ist nicht schön für mich. Tag zu Tag in der Türkei, die Situation ist Tag zu Tag schlimmer. Aber ich glaube, wenn ich habe eine Freunde hier, wenn ich habe eine just Geld hier, ich habe ein Glück, just gekommen Deutschland. Ich möchte Deutschland angekommen, aber ich glaube, meine Situation und meine Deutschsprache ist noch nicht gut. Daher ich muss versuchen, mein Glück hier in der Türkei. When ich became popular, when ich became very, very popular in the YouTube, ich habe eine Chance, just eine Glück, für Deutschland oder Japan angekommen. I'm not sure my German skills are still lacking, but it's better to understand my speaking style, and it is easy to just develop my skills and try to understand what we can do and what we can achieve in the end. Also, we can also try to understand the Chinese language. It's not very hard for us. 我现在去中国的路人很好漂亮。我想结婚和中国的女人。I also know that my Chinese speech can be very active and this can be changeable and can be developable. For example, let's think about the Chinese language. 我不想开现在土耳其，因为土耳其的钱不好。现在因为我想去中国，我觉得土耳其人不好。我觉得我的想法不好，我觉得自己很孤独人呀，所以我不开心。我想有一个的女朋友。Yeah. If anyone else from China can understand my speaking style, can understand my wishes, it's going to be easy for me and it's going to be understandable. I'm really happy for them if they are going to understand my style. I'm really missing the Taiwan. I am long for the Taiwan. I'm moving forward to Taiwan. But it's really hard for me just to turn back to Taiwan because I have a life here in Turkey, which is I hate. I am not very grateful for my life, if you're asking my opinion, because it's not very contentable. Mostly people are trying to express their ideas, express their wishes, and some people are going to be successful in it, and some people cannot do that. So it's also an understandable topic like here. Hobbies became investments, relationships became networks. Even we are just making a new relationships became the networks anymore. We are just trying to understand each other. And most of the people are living in a very dualist way, rather than just they are living a very small amount of the family members, and maybe some fatherless families are getting more and more. Why? Mostly here the issue is the modern society doesn't need marriage anymore. The marriage have been lost its meaning anymore. It's a very sad situation. If you just met with someone else on the nightclub, you can just sleep with her on the spot. So mostly not everybody else can capable of going to nightclubs. For example, such me. I'm not very handsome. I'm not very socially interactive. The reason is not everybody is trying to speak with me. And when I'm going to talk with the girls don't talk with me. So it's really hard for me. It is better to record YouTube videos. If I have films on the internet, it's better. I have a better chance because most of the girls like the images and rather than just reality. If someone else just giving me an instruction in the comment section and maybe they say you need to go out and you need to talk with the girls, I'm going to say this kind of bullshit people. Look, listen to me carefully. The Turkey culture is so different. Girls don't talk with you here. If you're just living in Europe, it is better. Girls can talk with you. But if you are living in Turkey, which is a third-class country, it is really hard to find your partner here. Mostly girls don't talk with you and they are praying for the money. Most of the people here, as a Turkish girl, they are very poor and they are just waiting their own. The prince here who has just riding on a very white horse prince, and they are just waiting this kind of man here, and they are living a very imaginary world. and they're not living in the real world. That's the reason why not all the men can capable of they make their wishes come true. So it is a really hard situation here as you get used to this position and this style anymore. I'm not going to complain, but I'm not going to acknowledge in the end. So it is better to just go into another part here. The emotional numbers and the loss of inner life. When humans are treated as objects for long enough, they begin to feel less, and not because emotions disappear, not because no space for them. Modern life structures around speed, deadlines, notifications, urgency without meaning. In such a rhythm, reflection becomes a luxury, science becomes uncomfortable. So it's very understandable, it's a very crucial topic here. Mostly people can be treated as objects for a long time. Mostly they are using their situations in the end. Even you just say someone is stupid for a morning from morning to night, if you just say someone is stupid every day, in the end, after 1 month or 2 months, he or those people will going to think themselves as a stupid. If you don't want to make those people stupid, probably it's better not to say them stupid, because even they are not stupid, they will perceive themselves as a stupid. So that's the reason why we need to just take care of those people. So I don't think modern life structured around speed, deadlines, notifications. Exactly. Even you just cannot come up a word, pick up a work, and come up work in a time. Even you need to be anxious. If you just let your work in 5 minutes or 2 minutes, you can just get fired. Even in Japan, the station is very strict. If you just let your work to 1 minute or 2 minutes, you can get fired. So it is understandable everywhere else, and people are just going to obey these rules. Even in America, if you just get late your work 1 minute or 2 minutes, they can fire you. Even in Canada, it's same. But in Europe, maybe the German is same as well. But if you're asking my opinion, I'm just preferring the job which is can be comfortable, which is very easy, rather than just staying here, just trying to understand the positions, trying to understand the modern society. So emotions require time, grief needs slowness, joy needs presence, confusion needs patience, but modern systems do not wait. So we are consuming the time anymore. The mostly in the modern society is people trying to consume the time rather than their itself. So can humans be reclaimed from objecthood? So if modernity has reduced the people to object, the final question is unavoidable. Is there a way back? So most people trying to understand the situation, even we are talking about the Jean-Jacques Rousseau, he also argued that in the modern societies, we are just trying to get over mercy. In the human essence, there's a mercy, even in a not a very agreement, and we have made a societal agreement before. That's kind of years, that's kind of age. Probably the society have some like a unhidden mercy, and they don't kill each other for not reason. That's the reason why they will respect each other. That's this one after this agreement, the social agreement. Someone else just came up and said that this field is mine, this field is mine, this field is mine. So the Jean-Jacques Rousseau also mentioned that he was also just drinking alcohol with the poor people, and he was just some like this evaluating, just criticizing the rich people. It's understandable. He was criticizing the aristocracy, and he didn't be in an aristocracy side ever. So it's also understandable. It's very correct way. It's their style of their lives. And also Jean-Jacques Rousseau in their books, he was starting in a very general topics to the special topics. So it's understandable day by day. So it's their lifestyle is the right style as well. So rehumanization doesn't begin with rebellion, it begins with refusal to measure everything, refusal to optimize every moment, refusal to treat life as a project, to reclaim moment to slow down, not strategically but generally. It's slow moments that have no purpose, time that produces nothing, silence that leads nowhere. So in the end, I'm going to talk about that. Remember that you are not a resource, not a metric, not a product. You are a presence, and presence doesn't need justification. So we cannot escape from the justification. People need to try to justify themselves, just prove themselves to society. Even in that position, people are just going to record YouTube videos, recording Instagram videos. That's the reason why most people just want to get attention by the other people, and maybe they're writing a book like me, in order to just get more attention and get a position in the society. So we cannot escape from it. Everybody want to get a position in the society. Maybe they want to get more respect, they want to get more attention. So if we don't get attention, if we don't get respect, so situation will going to be harder and tougher. We cannot escape from it, and we need to understand, and we need to appel it. If someone else can achieve that, someone else can achieve as well. But here the situation, what kind of way they can achieve. So the achieving styles are so different from each other, and some people just getting achieved things which their own sake. So I'm just going to question about myself in the society, in the Turkish society. My position is very weak, and I don't feel myself here, which I have been living for a long time. Mostly people, maybe they don't like their classes, they want to change their classes as well. So it's not going to be easy. If you want to change your class, mostly you need to get more attention. So you need the other people to obey you. Like think like about not obeying, maybe just respecting is better concept here. You shouldn't obey me. You should show respect me. So on the station, maybe think about the other side as well. If you wanna get respect, you need to do something. Even think about the Sophocles' life. Even Sophocles, they were just in these ages like the Spartans, they were just carrying out of the folks in their stomach in order to just getting more attention and getting to more powerful when they were young. If you just pass this exam, probably they will live longer because the society, the government needs a more powerful man in the end. So the other things, we just need that justification is not going to be easy peasy because we need to compete with other people as well because they are also in the rival and they are also in the race as well. So I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy, but it's better to say that it's better to get used to the situation. Sometimes we need to be flexible, sometimes we need to be firm. But if you're asking my opinion, some people will going to achieve anything goes, but some people will not achieve. In the end, the situation will going to conclude in like that. So sometimes if someone else winning and someone else is just something like a declaring, someone else is losing. For example, think about the something like a, how can I say, the margin, maybe the stock market. Even in the stock market, some people will going to win and some people are going to lose. If you are winning, someone else is losing. If you are watching my video, you cannot watch the other videos as well. So the situation is really awkward and the situation is like that. What we can do is life of themselves, but I'm going to do that in a very peaceful way rather than just harming someone, just forcing someone. It's not very easy peasy in that position. And when you're a seller, you shouldn't force the other people to buy your product. It is better if they want to buy your product, they can buy. If they want to give you a donation, they can. If they don't, they don't. So it is better to understand if even you are just getting salary, you are also just getting into the other people's rights as well. Because you're just someone else just losing their salaries, but you are just working and you are getting salary. So it's in that situation, everybody's getting something from the life and everybody's giving something to life. We just came from nature and we will turn back to nature. Thank you for watching until now. See you on next video. I hope you guys just like this video. Please like, comment and subscription. Thanks so much. I hope you guys get enjoyed in this podcast. Maybe I can do another. So thank you so much for listening until now. Thank you so much. Thank you.